Dr. Sarah Bennett had spent her entire career playing by the rules. As head of emergency medicine at St. Vincent's Hospital, she knew every protocol, every regulation, every line of bureaucratic red tape that kept the hospital running smoothly. That all changed at 2:17 a.m. on a rain-lashed Tuesday when they brought in the Navy SEAL. The ER doors burst open to reveal a scene straight out of a war zone. 4 men in civilian clothes carried a fifth, his body a canvas of blood and torn flesh. His dog tags, smeared with crimson, identified him as Lieutenant Commander James Holloway. The men's eyes burned with a desperate intensity Sarah had only seen in combat medics. "IED blast," one growled. He took the worst of it, shielding his team. Sarah's hands were already moving, assessing the damage, third-degree burns, shrapnel peppering his torso, his left leg hanging by threads of muscle and tendon. But when she called for an immediate OR, the hospital administrator, Richard Caldwell, appeared like a specter. "His insurance hasn't cleared," Caldwell hissed, pulling her aside. "We need pre-authorization for this level of dash." Sarah didn't let him finish. "He'll be dead in 20 minutes if we wait." Caldwell's face hardened. "If you operate without approval, that's on you, doctor." The standoff lasted 3 precious seconds. Sarah made her choice. For 11 grueling hours, Sarah and her team fought for Holloway's life. They grafted skin, reconnected arteries, rebuilt what war had torn apart. When the sun rose, Holloway was stable, unconscious, but alive. Sarah emerged from surgery to find Caldwell waiting with security. The termination letter was already signed. "You violated hospital policy," Caldwell said coldly. "Clean out your office." Sarah walked out of the hospital that afternoon, her white coat folded in her arms, the rain masking the tears on her cheeks. She'd sacrificed everything, her career, her reputation, for a man she'd never see again. Then, exactly 24 hours later, her doorbell rang. Sarah opened her door to find not just Holloway, standing tall despite his injuries, but an entire platoon of Navy SEALs in full dress uniform. Behind them, news vans lined the street, their cameras trained on the scene. Holloway held out a folded American flag, his hands steady despite the pain he must have been in. "Dr. Bennett," he said, his voice carrying the weight of command, "this flag flew over my last deployment. It belonged to a man who didn't make it home. Today, it belongs to you." Before Sarah could respond, a black government SUV pulled up. A 4-star admiral stepped out, his medals gleaming in the afternoon sun. He handed Sarah a letter bearing the Department of Defense seal. "The United States Navy," the admiral announced loudly enough for every camera to hear, "does not forget those who care for its warriors. Effective immediately, you've been offered the position of Chief Trauma Surgeon at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center." But the real justice came the next morning. Front-page headlines exposed Caldwell's history of denying care to veterans. Audio recordings, mysteriously leaked to the press, revealed him joking about military charity cases. By noon, he'd been fired, and by evening, the Justice Department had opened an investigation into hospital practices. As Sarah unpacked her stethoscope in her new office at Walter Reed, she found a framed photo waiting for her. It showed Holloway's team, all grinning, with a handwritten note, "No soldier left behind starts with doctors like you." And on her first day, when a young Marine was wheeled in with catastrophic injuries, no one asked about insurance. They simply said, "He's all yours, document."